Good evening, everyone. Today is Thursday, September the 5th, 2024, and the time is now 7 o'clock p.m., and we're going to call this regularly scheduled council meeting to order. The first we're going to do is have an invocation. The invocation tonight will be led by Kenny Carter with Alvin Methodist Church, and then we'll have the pledges of allegiance, the American pledge led by Councilman Kiko Moore, and the Texas pledge led by Councilman Richard Garavay. So please rise.
Let's pray. Just say thank you for what you do to begin with. It's an honor to be here to be able to do this. Gracious God, thank you for this day that you breathe into us. Thank you, Lord, for this night. You have the council gathered to make decisions and conduct business for this great city and community of Alvin and beyond. I thank you, Lord, for their servants' hearts of the council that have answered your call in their life into leadership. May they seek your counsel, Lord, as they direct and make decisions for safe, healthy family environments for both family and businesses in this community and beyond. Let them be united and hear one another in making decisions, not to rush by putting up shields, but to hear what each one has to say. Allow them to always have eyes to see and ears to hear and hearts of compassion to see and act on the vision you have ready to unfold to building a community of integrity and faith in you, Lord, for your way is flawless. Even in the difficult or the unpopular decisions that they will have to make, let the outcome be based on your wisdom spoken through this council that you have assembled. Lord, guide their thoughts and minds to be yours. Encourage them, Lord, at just the right time. Allow and pace them to get the rest they need, both physically and mentally. Remind them, Lord, to spend time with family and friends and build lifelong relationships. Bless their churches, their families, and bless this great city of Alvin and beyond. For it is in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit that we give you thanks now and forever, Almighty God. Amen. Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Next, we'll move into we've got three presentations on the agenda. The first one is to administer the oath of office to newly appointed Associate Municipal Court Judge Samantha Gonzalez. The swearing in will be led by our own Alvin Municipal Court Judge, Mo. You. Welcome aboard officially. Next, we are going to have a badge pinning of successful Alvin Police Department promotional candidate, J.P. Flores. Can they hear us out there? There he comes.
Come on over here, JP. Mayor, Council, on August 24th, the Police Department held a civil service promotional examination for the rank of Specialist Corporal in accordance with Local Government Code 143, Civil Service, and Article 5 of the City of Alvin's Local civil service rules, and Officer J.P. Flores was the top scoring candidate. After his pinning, I'd like y'all to join me in wishing him well on this next step in his career. He is an outstanding young officer, and I'm proud to be pinning his badge on him tonight. So without anything further to do, because he's nervous standing there, you can tell. Start so I can get a good picture. Congratulations, Corporal. JP. Have Mom come up here. Mom and council, if y'all will join us up here for a photo. There's something for your desk or your wall.
What happened here? Next, we're going to have a proclamation for Hispanic Heritage Month. There's a proclamation.
They're doing it. Just
Sí, en inglés y en español también. ¿Listos? ¿Ah? How are you? Good to see you. You might as well. Martin, half of you can come down here. Wow. Who? Huh? Very good. I'm reading to you.
I don't know. Ask
I'm going to
Liz.
say, who's the head Mexican in charge? You? That's ironic.
I know, sorry. Keep coming over, we're gonna even it out. Y los que están atrás del alcalde no se ven. I can't see whoever's behind the mayor.
I don't know
So
who you're
red,
getting to.
like the red sea, perfect.
Everybody ready? Okay. So this is the second year that we've recognized Hispanic Heritage Month in the city of Alvin. And being Hispanic Heritage myself, I thank y'all for that and what y'all are doing. And it gives me a lot of honor to read this proclamation. So it says, whereas the National Hispanic Heritage Month, celebrated since 1968, honors the Latino and Hispanic communities and how they influence and contribute a richness of culture to humanity. And whereas this month highlights the roles played by those communities throughout American history, timed to coincide with the Independence Day celebrations of several Latin American nations. And whereas the Alvin Museum Society will commemorate Hispanic Heritage Month with an exhibit and fiesta on Saturday, September 7th, featuring soldados, ballet folklorico, mariachi, and community engagement to honor those of Latin American descent. And whereas the city of Alvin recognizes and treasures the contributions of our Hispanic Latino community, whose cultural diversity and active involvement enrich our city, and strengthen its inclusive spirit. Now, therefore, I, Gabe Adami, as the mayor of the city of Alvin, Texas, and on behalf of the city council, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2024 as Hispanic Heritage Month in the city of Alvin, and encourage all citizens to celebrate the rich legacy and profound impact of the Hispanic and Latino heritage. Now, to do this in Spanish is Donna Starkey. No? No? I presented the proclamation to Donna as part of the Museum Society. She and several others have been key in putting together and collecting artifacts and treasures from notable Hispanic families throughout the community, and they're all on display across the street at the Museum Society. But I would certainly encourage Donna to say a few words, and anybody else that's up here behind me, if you've got anything that you'd like to share, we certainly want to share the microphone with you, and we'll go now.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody. The Hispanic Heritage Fiesta is a great event. And what I love the most about it is that we get to celebrate these people that have made Alvin. They're part of the community. And like I said, I've said before, we've interviewed these people, different families, several people in the family, and they all said the same exact thing without even talking to each other, is that what is important is faith, family, and community. And so I really commend everybody here and appreciate them and being a part of the fiesta. 10 to 2 Saturday, we'll be out in front of Sealy Street. On Sealy Street, it'll be shut down. We have Ballet Folklorica group. We have mariachis. We're going to have lots of vendors, a lot of good food, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope to see everybody come. Tacos. We actually have a taco truck. So, would anybody like to say anything, Jody?
My name is Jody Fisher, and I would like to say this young man right here, his grandmother was one of my dearest and closest friends, and she was one of 3 people that were instrumental in creating the tortilla burger at the famous Alvin Dairyland. And I cut his hair when he was a little boy.
Well, let me tell you, we know we made the right move when we chose Alvin, Texas. It was going to be a little commute for my husband because he worked at NASA, but I wanted a community that represented a wholesome of America. I didn't want to just live in a place where everybody was affluent and just had everything. Our children had to grow up and mingle and know and become part of a community. And as some of you seen, our son came in. He did great as a state rep. He's already retired. And our daughter's here. It's just been great. I highly recommend Alvin, Texas. It's been great.
Anybody else like to say anything before we go? I got all 6. Just so you know, one of the people that we are also highlighting is Edith Quintanilla, who was the valedictorian for Alvin High School this last year. She graduated number 1 with all kinds of honors. She's going to Rice University, and she received the Bill Gates, I can't think of the whole name, scholarship. So we're very proud of her also, and her family is here, and she'll be here Saturday, I believe, hopefully. But again, the family makes the sacrifice for their children, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
Okay. We don't have, to my knowledge, we have no public comments scheduled for tonight. The next thing we have is a public hearing. And the public hearing is to receive comment on the proposed tax rate of .6850 cents per $100 evaluation for the fiscal year 2024 to 25, known as the 24 tax year, which is a tax increase of 6.72% above the no new revenue tax rate for the city of Alvin fiscal year 2024-25. So at this time, at 7:19 p.m., I will open the floor for public hearing. If you have something that you would like to say in regards to the proposed tax rate, please come forward now. Just making sure there's no one out there in the hallway or anybody waiting that would like to come forward and speak on the public hearing for the tax rate. Dixie, what time did I tell you I opened? 7:16? 15? Thank you. Okay. Going once, going twice. Seeing no one come forward, the public hearing is closed at 7:16 p.m. Thank you. Next, we'll go through the consent agenda, starting with you, Councilman Garvey. Anything you'd like to remove from the consent agenda?
No, Mayor.
No, Mayor.
No, Mayor. No, Mayor.
No, Mayor.
No, Mayor.
No, Mayor.
Entertain a motion.
Mayor, move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Please vote. Dixie, you want to go verbal or hands?
Yes, I have it here. I'm having issues displaying, so I'll just read it off. Motion passes unanimously. Items approved on the consent agenda are the August 15th, 2024 City Council meeting minutes. Item B, awarding a bid to Vestas as the vendor for the uniform services for 2 years with an option to continue services for an additional 2 years at the same price and conditions, and authorize the city manager to sign related documents upon legal review. Item C, approval of lease agreements with Enterprise Fleet Management for 6 Chevy Tahoes for the Alvin Police Department for an amount not to exceed $130,000 from the FY24 budget, and authorize the city manager to sign the lease agreements upon legal review. Mayor?
Thank you, Dixie. Moving on to other business. Item A, consider ordinance 24W annexing approximately 107.1041 acres of land into the corporate limits of the city of Alvin, approving a service plan for the annexed area, making findings of fact, providing a severability clause, providing for an effective date, and providing for other matters related thereto.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. These proceedings started back in July 18th when Council approved Resolution 24R21 for the voluntary annexation of this 107.1041 acres. There were 2 public hearings held on, one was August 1st and the other one was August 15th. No comments were made at either hearing. This ordinance finalizes the annexation and makes this property part of the city of Alvin. I would entertain any questions.
Mayor, move to approve ordinance 24W annexing approximately 107.1041 acres of land in the corporate limits of the city of Alvin, approving the service plan for the annexed area and making findings of fact, providing a severability clause.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item B, consider ordinance 24X granting consent to the annexation of approximately 107.1041 acres of land into Missouri County Municipal Utility District Number 51, making findings of fact, providing a severability clause, providing for an effective date, and providing for other matters related thereto.
Council, now that you have annexed this property into the city of Alvin, the next step is to annex the property into MUD 51. And so this document will then annex that property into the existing MUD, and it will become a part of that MUD district. Just so for everyone else's consideration, this is the property that's just north of Forest Heights. And happy to entertain any other questions you might have.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance 24X
granting consent to the annexation of approximately 107.1041 acres of land into Brazoria County Municipal Utility District Number 51, making findings of fact, providing a severability clause, providing for an effective date, and providing for other matters related thereto.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item C, consider resolution 24R25, accepting the petition for annexation of approximately 168.36 acres of land located in Brazoria County, Texas, setting an annexation schedule, provided for public hearings, and providing for other matters related thereto.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. This is another annexation. This is for the W land development that we know as Preservation Creek. This is property that is east of 288, just south of 1462. There are two tracts of land encompassing this 168.36 acres. It is just two portions of this property that will then be annexed into the rest of city limits, which is there. Additionally, these will be included into Preservation Creek Mud 1, which has already been approved, the creation of which has already been approved. And then there will be a TERS, TERS number 1 will be extended over this entire area over that. So this resolution accepts the petition and then sets two public hearings. The first one will be October 3rd, the second one will be October 17th, and the final reading is scheduled for November 7th. So happy to entertain any questions.
Mayor, move to approve resolution 24R25, accepting the petition for annexation of approximately 168.36 acres of land located in Brazoria County, Texas, setting an annexation schedule, providing for public hearings, and providing for other matters related thereto.
Please vote.
Councilmember Castro. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item D, consider a variance request from the homeowners at 1400 Highland Drive from Chapter 21 Subdivision of Property Development, Section 21-37A, to encroach 25 feet into the 25-foot front building setback for the construction of a carport.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. What you have before you is a variance request. We've seen similar variance requests in the past. As a matter of fact, we saw one last year on Highland Drive for the same reason. Residents would like to build a carport on their property. In order to do that, they would have to encroach into the 25-foot front building setback. One side, they would be encroaching 25 feet into the entire setback, and on the other side, they're about 20 feet into the setback. They would like to do this in order to protect their vehicles that do not fit in the standard size garages that we have these days. Planning Commission approved on August the 20th, and staff recommends approval.
Very good, thank you. Any questions? If not, Glenn, will you make a motion?
Move to approve the variance request for the property owners at 1400 Highland Drive from Chapter 21 Subdivision and Property Development, Section 21-37A, to encroach 25 feet into the 25-foot front building setback for the construction of a carport.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, let's see, we've got another one. Item E, consider variance request for the property owners at 208 North 6th Street from Chapter 21 Subdivision of Property Development, Section 21-8A, to construct two single-family dwellings on a single lot.
Okay. Mayor and Council, what you have before you is another variance request. Our current subdivision ordinance states that you can't have two single-family dwellings on the same lot, tract, or parcel. And what the Alfaros are planning to do is to construct a new home. There's an existing home that they live in on the property. They'd like to construct their new home and still live in the existing home while their new home's being built. Once the new home is complete, we would put it under a temporary certificate of occupancy. They would move into their new home and then either have their existing home moved or demolished. So before we would give a full CO, they would have to have it moved or demolished. And they're requesting 60 days to do that once construction's complete. And we have given similar variances in the past, two that I can recall, for the same reason. And Planning Commission approved at their last meeting.
Thank you. Any questions?
Is there's nothing we could do to just have this as part of the ordinance, to where if somebody's gonna build, they can temporarily have that instead of asking for variance every time?
We possibly could. I mean, we could put a clause in for, that's kind of like, we could put an exception if you're building another dwelling and then replacing the dwelling on the lot, perhaps. We could put a clause or exception to the ordinance in there.
I'd
That
like
would
to see something
prevent
like
this.
that to avoid the request completely.
We can look into that.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Move to approve a variance request for the property owners at 208 North Sixth Street to Chapter 21 subdivision and property development, Section 21-8A. It shall be unlawful to construct two single-family dwellings on a single lot, parcel, or tract of land.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. Next, item F, consider ordinance 24Y, an ordinance of the City of Alvin, Texas, amending Chapter 21 subdivisions and property development of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alvin, Texas, for the purpose of amending Article 7, Parkland Dedication and Development Fee, providing for severability and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Council. You may recall this item was brought at a workshop for discussion. We took that out of work, staff took that out of workshop, brought that to the park board, digested that, and we came up with this version of the ordinance. And so we're asking you tonight, we're bringing this back to you tonight with park board's endorsement, making the change, eliminating the minimum 2 acres being required, and then adding some language stating that the HOA or whatever entity is created would maintain that particular park, as well as some guiding principles, namely making it ultimately the 4 qualities: making it accessible, making it allow people to engage in activities, comfortable spaces, and having a good image and place where people would want to meet each other. So we're asking you for your approval tonight.
Is there any restrictions as far as, I know what you generally said about what defines a park, but like if someone just put a pull-up bar or something, could they call that a park?
So there is some subjective, so that in that particular question, I would say that it depends on, again, I'll go back to the guiding principles. Does it allow for people to engage in activities? Is it a comfortable space? Does it have a good image and a place where people would want to meet each other and where residents would take people to when they come to visit? So I think that particular element would likely be a part of a constellation of elements that would meet the spirit of these principles.
Okay. How is that determined? It's just by our permit department or our development, I guess, engineering?
So when they go to file their plat, that's when the developer files their plat, that's when they would present their version containing these elements.
Okay. So there's some oversight.
That's correct. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are the terms good image and place where residents take people when they come to visit, those terms, I understand the idea and I agree with what the idea is behind that, but I feel like it's too broad. I think it needs a little bit, at least use terms in the 4 qualities that are previously defined someplace else, or maybe pull from other parts of our ordinances that require things to be, you know, regularly maintained or something. And I realize that's in here, but I just feel like it's too broad, and it leaves open the possibility of anybody who says, well, I think that's a place where I would want to bring someone to visit. I just think it's not specific enough, and I don't see where those terms are defined. And I think we may run into issues with that down the road. So maybe we could work on that a little more and just kind of be a little more specific about what exactly is meant by that without putting people in a box at the same time. I just think it needs a little more work. That's all. I just don't feel comfortable with words that don't have definitions being put in an ordinance like this where it's one of the 4 required qualities. So those are my
that's-
thoughts.
A good point. And those were born out of our Parks Master Plan. Those were used in that way, and so we just felt that since it was in there, we felt that it was consistent. But you're right, it's subjective, and we kicked around some ideas, and we felt like, okay, leave it broad enough with kind of an image that someone is left with, so they could develop that concept and maybe sell that along with their plat. But you're right, it's.
At least at a minimum, make or provide a definition for the term good image. I think that may help a little, because it specifically says it has to have a good image. So let's define what that is, or give examples of what that might include. So,
Good point.
Did we get rid of the list of items they could put into a park? Is that, remind me if that's what we got rid of last time?
We didn't.
That was what wasn't that what the development,
Part of the developer's pack.
that's a PUD,
Was that
yeah.
part of
PUD, yeah.
PUD? Okay.
Yeah, that was
So
what
this
the
is
PUD.
completely different on that one.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
So is it possible for us to create a list of items that they could stick in a small park like that, say like a playground set or a splash pad, something like that, would be examples of what they would want to possibly do for this to be
So
easier for them?
we could, and I don't want to speak out of turn. Michelle may have a better comment, but the feeling I get from doing that is if you give examples, then you have given them a list, a menu to speak of, and they may not like the price tag on those suggestions, and so therefore it may not, I guess, craft the image. And so that's kind of where we're trying not to tell them exactly what to do. We're trying to inspire them on what to do, I guess is a better way to say that. So then that's why we just grabbed the master plan and used that language there. But you're right. I mean, we could certainly kind of wordsmith that a little better. And this is just an attempt at trying to use that, inspire an image.
I was thinking the same thing Megan did when my definition of what's nice and good to look at may not be the same thing as what she likes. You know, so I may be good with a pull-up bar. Not that I use them, but I mean, I might be good with that, but she may not. So I mean, to me, it's just, it leaves so much room for interpretation. It's just, we need a little bit of more boxing on it, I think.
And another thing is, and since we did away with the minimum acreage, and we still kept the 1/100th of an acre per dwelling, I guess what I'm getting at is when a developer comes in and they see their community in a certain way, and they see the open areas that they're gonna have, then it allows them to be creative in those spaces. And so that's kind of where we shied away from trying to dictate or give a more specific answer, because they may have something that is totally unique and see a space in a completely different way. So
We would still offer a menu per se and allow a variance to it. If a developer wants to say, hey, I want to do this, and it's not on our menu, but it's something we think is going to look good in that development, we can offer a variance, can't we?
to create a variance process for that, I'm sure we could create just about anything, city attorney, if we want to create more merit.
But I mean, because this would go before the Parks Board, correct, to be
Planning
approved?
Commission.
Planning Commission
Yes,
to
sir.
approve it? So if Planning Commission had kind of a set of criteria that they were looking for inside of it, and they know, hey, we don't need a single, like, pull-up bar out there, we don't need a board thrown on the ground where you can, to shimmy across when you're a little kid or something like that, so a little more depth on their end maybe to be approval, so that you can give the client full freedom to do whatever they want, but then when they come before the board's like, well, it doesn't have enough, we need a little bit more, what else you got, what else you can add in there, or hey, you can take some away if you want to, there's a lot in there, it's very busy, something like that. Maybe that's where we could put in some more wording is for the board themselves
So you're,
that's doing the review on it, but
so like some like a,
almost
almost like a,
give them the examples.
the board.
Give the board the examples, hey, this is what we like, or this is what a a good park maybe would look like, or this is a possibility, this is an example of what something good and eye-pleasing and be community-oriented would be on it, then I don't know, I'm just thinking off the top of my head at this point. So, I mean, it's, I don't
Michelle,
know.
did you participate in it too? Did you get involved in writing this?
No, I left it up to Dan. I
Okay.
did look at the final product.
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't need to she don't need to be looking at me.
I was curious
I mean,
your thoughts of it, because you have to, regulate this, so.
I agree. It's very subjective. What you may think of as a gathering space and what you may think of are two different things. Perhaps we could use the language out of the PUD section that talks about a PUD park, which this would be similar, neighborhood parks maintained by the HOA. It has some ideas, but it also has to be approved by Planning Commission, the plan, on the PUD situation. So maybe we kind of lean on that, and they can expand on it, because they could always come in and have a great idea, but it may not be something on the list, but it's still an amenity, so.
Okay.
I mean, just an idea. I don't know that how many people would take advantage of this versus just pay fee in lieu of, because the land is pretty valuable to them in these developments. So we have yet to do a land dedication on these. Just my thoughts.
Thank you.
Good questions. Thank you.
Just from my knowledge, and y'all let me know if y'all have y'all seen any complaints or anything. I vaguely remember probably about 2 complaints over the past couple of years, specifically in the Forest Heights area, where people visiting outside of the community into Forest Heights neighborhood in that particular park, and they were asked to leave because they weren't residents of that particular park. In this is pretty much, and reading that revision, is it's supposed to be accessible for all residents to utilize that park, even though it's maintained by the HOA. And if that should be clearer, or do we see a problem, or have we had a problem with that?
I have
Issue coming
not
up.
heard of any problems.
Okay.
I mean, of course, we don't typically get into that level of detail. I mean, that would probably be something maybe
probably
the
should.
PD might see, or the HOA boards, but I haven't heard of anything.
And I'm fortunate to live in your neighborhood, Councilman. I take my kids over to the playground, and it's, I rarely, if ever, see any cars parked around that particular area. If there's cars parked, they're usually in front of residences. I'm just making an assumption that they may be visiting or maybe live there. But, yeah, I think the intent is that it's make accessible to the neighborhood, tied into their sidewalk system or something like that. But good point.
So do we, table it? Yeah, table this. Maybe would you like to table this?
Let me find my place, and I will do that. I know. Mayor, I move to table agenda item F regarding ordinance 24Y for the next meeting.
Second?
Thank you. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, item G, consider ordinance 24BB, amending chapter 24.5 manufactured homes and manufactured home parks of the of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alvin, Texas, for the purpose of amending Article 3, manufactured homes located outside of manufactured home parks, and Article 4, manufactured home parks, providing for penalties, providing for publication, providing for severability, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, this ordinance basically adds where folks that live in manufactured homes, whether they be on single lots or in the manufactured home parks, would be able to utilize metal skirting. Currently, it's restricted. You can't use wood, landscaping, or metal as your skirting product. We did take this to Planning Commission. We presented back at their June meeting just to get their feel on the ordinance change. And then we took it last month as an ordinance revision to allow for a metal skirting product. So a product that's manufactured to be used as skirting on a manufactured home, not just corrugated metal. So it was well received by both. I believe we also had a skirting company come and speak, did their 3 minutes a couple of different times, and that's why city manager had asked me to take it to planning commission and get their thoughts on it.
Very good, thank you. Any questions?
Mayor, move to approve ordinance 24BB, amending the chapter 24.5, manufactured homes and manufactured home parks of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Alvin, Texas, for the purpose of amending Article 3, manufactured homes located outside of manufactured home parks, and Article, 4? Okay. Sorry, I'm lacking Roman numerals. Manufactured home parks, providing for penalties, providing for publication, providing for severability, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Second.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Reminder to stay in school, kids. Just saying. Item H. Consider Resolution 24R26, creating the Economic Development Advisory Committee for the City of Alvin and amending the City of Alvin Board and Commission Handbook and setting forth other matters related thereto. Hello, Paul.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Good afternoon, City Council members. What you have before you tonight is the latest iteration of the creation of the Economic Development Advisory Committee. Back in August 6th, we had a workshop where we talked about the creation of this and some of the guidelines that I received from you and from City Manager regarding this creation, its purpose, and its overall scope. So I've put that together, pretty much vetted it through City Management, and now it's before you tonight. I'm here to answer any questions. But its main purpose is to provide that as an advisory board to myself, City Manager, and ultimately to City Council regarding economic development policies, regarding economic development incentive applications, or other projects that are related to business development. So I'm looking forward to having this board in place. Hopefully we can get this set and rolling by January, I believe is when we appoint committee members. But I'm here to answer any questions.
Mayor, move to approve Resolution 24-R-26, creating the Economic Development Advisory Committee for the City of Alvin and amending the City of Alvin Board and Commission Handbook and setting forth other matters related thereto.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank
Hey,
you, Council.
Paul, I commend you on this handbook that you put together. It's very detailed, good stuff. Did you do that yourself?
No.
No? Okay. Did Dan help you?
No. I had a lot of that was in place, and we had a very fine city secretary and city attorney working on it.
Well, appreciate your honesty.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have item I. It is consider ordinance 24T, amending chapter 28, comprehensive fee ordinance for the purpose of setting certain solid waste collection and disposal fees for residential, commercial, and roll-off containers, providing for a 10% penalty for late payment, providing for an effective date of October 2024 billing cycles, providing for publication, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Before we get to the really fun, boring stuff later, this is Amy's baby, but she's entrusted me with it. She's doing all the legwork and telling me that I have to be the face man, so we're going to go with that. They requested a 3.257% increase based on the price index and gas, and they requested nothing more. If memory serves, I believe it was double digits last year, so 3.257 is very tolerable for our residents, and that's what we're recommending going with. As you can see in the commentary, there was a average residential bill which would go up by about approximately 45 cents, but it was 3.257 across the board for everything else.
Thank you, Chris. Is any questions?
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance 24T, amending chapter 28, comprehensive fee ordinance for the purpose of setting certain solid waste collection and disposal fees for residential, commercial, and roll-off containers, providing for 10% penalty for late fee, providing for an effective date of October 2024 billing cycles, providing for publication, and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Let's see, item J, consider ordinance 24Z, adopting the annual budget for the city of Alvin, Texas for fiscal year 2024 through 25, directing the city secretary to post a copy of the budget on the city of Alvin website and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Good evening again. For the next three items, I'd like to warn everyone beforehand. You may see some verbiage that doesn't make sense. You may see some verbiage that you don't agree with. Believe you me, that myself, Unruh, several other members have probably disagreed with it as well. This is state legislative required verbiage that we have to say in most cases. Even some of it doesn't make sense when you're telling people it's an increase in a negative number. We just kind of go with it. The end punishment, a lot of people might believe that the finance director gets in trouble, or maybe I go to jail or get fined, or the city gets fined. The end punishment for all this is if we don't do it right, the taxpayers can protest their taxes, and that spells bad news for the city. We only have to prove that we didn't do anything egregious, that we did it in our best efforts. So if you say and instead of or, they're not going to come down with a hammer on you, but we do ask that you go with the verbiage that we've provided you tonight, even though you might not agree or it might not make sense. Starting with the budget, I want to remind you that actually, the city manager presented the budget July 18th. We had two workshop sessions on August 1st, August 6th. Local Government Code 102 requires us to do this every year. We have to have the budget. There were exhibits that were provided on our website that you could link to. The real fun catch-22 of this is I can't provide you with an adopted budget or a proposed budget that you can adopt because I don't have the ordinances for the tax rate and the budget, and I don't have your votes that go on the cover page. So that's always a fun catch-22. So we have to provide you with a hard copy after the fact because there's things that we have to add into it. This is a record vote. There is not substantial verbiage that you have to use, but it is a record vote, and staff is recommending to move to approve ordinance 24Z for the budget for 24-25.
Move to approve ordinance 24Z, adopting the budget for the city of Alvin, Texas for fiscal year 2024-25, directing the city secretary to post a copy of the budget on the city of Alvin website and setting forth other provisions related thereto.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes with Councilmember Castro voting no.
Item K, let's see, consider ratifying the property tax revenue reflected in the city of Alvin's adopted budget for the fiscal year 2024-25 in accordance with the Texas Local Government Code.
This comes from chapter 102.007, I believe. This is a, are you sure you really, really mean it kind of vote. This is only if you're getting more property taxes than you got from the year before, which is almost always the case these days. And this is one of those fun little things that was included with Senate Bill 2, I believe, about 3 or 4 years ago that some people still don't recognize whenever they're doing their budgets. I've been to several cities, and some of them have recognized this, some of them haven't. But this is one of those that, once again, we just have to do it to make sure that we're in compliance with the laws. And they want us to once again state that we're raising taxes and let everybody know it because we're evil cities. This one has no strict verbiage, just requires a vote to make sure that you're serious about actually raising the property tax values that we're receiving for this year. Staff recommends that we approve this as well.
Any questions?
Mayor, move to ratify a 9.07% increase in property tax revenue for tax year 2024 reflected in fiscal year 2024-2025 adopted budget as required by the Texas Local Government Code section 102.007.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes with Councilmember Castro voting no.
Okay. Item L, consider ordinance 24AA adopting and levying the ad valorem tax rate for the tax year 2024, commencing October 1st, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025.
And this is the third piece that goes along with it. You have to ratify your budget and approve your budget before you can levy a tax. This one is a record vote as well, and this one has exact verbiage which we need you to repeat if you're making the motion. This increase that it's reflected in the motion is compared to the no new no new revenue rate. It's obviously not an increase from last year because we are staying consistent at .685. The ordinance has an extra piece to it where you're supposed to break down the M&O rate and the INS rate. We contacted the assessor to ask her if we could change this, modify this verbiage. She suggested leave the verbiage exactly the way it is and use the ordinance to make your case. So the ordinance itself has the breakdown of the M&O rate and the INS rate. Once again, it's one of those catch-22s where they say, well, you're supposed to do this, but you can't do that. So we're doing the best that we can. We recommend that you approve this as well, go along with the budget. And as I said, it's explicit verbiage and a record vote.
Thank you, Chris. Are any questions? We've had we had a couple budget workshops, and I want to thank those that attended and participated, and thank you and your team for all your hard work. I know budget season is always fun, but any questions? None?
Mayor.
Hold on, Glenn has something to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, Glenn.
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.6850 per $100 evaluation, which is effectively a 6.72% increase in the tax rate.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion passes with Councilmember Castro voting no.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. All right, last item on the agenda. Consider if any requests from individual council members for an item or items to be placed on the upcoming agenda for the next regularly scheduled meeting. Councilman Garavane?
Nothing, sir.
No, Mayor.
No?
No, sir.
Mayor, I don't know if this could be on the next meeting, but maybe a workshop. Not that I want to encourage workshops, but I would like to see us explore adding, allowing ADUs, accessory dwelling units, in the city limits, similar to what that variance we offer today. But I'd like us to see about making that happen here in Alvin.
Sure. Okay.
Do I need a second on that?
So you've got Martin second? Okay. You just need two of them to add it to the agenda, so there's two of them.
Yeah, no, I
Oh.
just didn't know if, yeah, we'll figure it out. It's a workshop. It's
Oh, I
probably gonna
see.
be a
Okay.
workshop rather than just bringing you, an ordinance amendment.
Yeah, okay, that'll work. Yeah, we'll set up a 30-minute workshop. No more.
I'm okay with that.
Thank you, Councilman. Anything else?
No, sir.
No?
And also, so just to clarify, because it's for the next agenda, Councilmember Moore, you're okay if it might not be before by the next council meeting?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
wanted to clarify. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank
Yeah, it
you.
doesn't have to be immediate, but I'd like to at least discuss it as soon as we have time on the schedule.
Perfect, thank you.
Castro?
No, sir.
Nope.
No, sir.
Nope. Okay, very good. Well, then we will move forward with the items of community interest. So then we'll start over here. Oh, I'm sorry. Items from city manager. Go ahead.
Hurt my feelings.
That's the second time in a row we did
I just wanted to reiterate that this Saturday will be the Hispanic Heritage Fiesta from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Also, this Monday we start the Alvin Upfront Citizens Academy, and I'm told this year will be the largest class to date. We have 21 students, and so we're excited about the heightened interest in city operations. And lastly, Tuesday, October 1st is National Night Out. Anyone interested in hosting the event, contact Lieutenant Gilchrist at 281-388-7104, 281-388-7104. That's all I have, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you. Items of community interest?
I would like to compliment our community on how involved the people are with each other. It's an outstanding thing. We have events such as the Hispanic Heritage Festival, but there's constantly people, you hear them talking about how they enjoy coming here and doing things. Chamber constantly has little events with coffee connections, coffee this, coffee that. And it's great to hear the people talking and especially supporting one another.
I just wanted to say that I'm sure everybody knows our November general election is coming up in about 60 days. So now is a really great time to make sure that you are registered to vote. If you are voting for the first time in the election, if you're a young person, you just turned 18, you haven't registered to vote, now is the time to do that. Also, if you have recently moved to Alvin or for any other reason you need to check your voter registration, you can do that online at votetexas.gov. To register to vote, the deadline for that is October the 7th, so about 30 days to make sure that your registration is postmarked and received by that date. So, postmarked by that date, rather. So I just wanted to remind everybody that you got to be registered to actually vote, and now is a really good time to make sure that that's checked off your to-do list. So.
Awesome. Just want to add off kind of to what Glenn was saying, that the work that our museum and historical society have done within the last recent few years, I think since Donna started, it's just been remarkable, all the work they've done, especially me as 25. There's a lot of things I don't know, I haven't lived, and so seeing the work they do to preserve and honor our community is just phenomenal. So definitely encourage everyone to attend on Saturday. And then also, we're back in school and football season's in full-fledged, so go out and support your Alvin Yellow Jackets and support Kiko's son. So.
I second that. Write it down. Nothing, Mayor. I'm good.
No, sir. Okay. Anybody in the crowd have anything for the good of the group? Good seeing a bunch of young people in here, so hope you all took good notes for your test on Monday. With that, we're adjourned.